Hey everybody, inside the FedEx box on the table is a new Chris Reeve Sebenza folding knife that I've finally pulled my finger out and got. Thank you very much to a friend of mine, Ben, for sending me his Sebenza to have a bit of a look and play with, and it definitely lit the fire. Having it in hand, I was never really a dismisser of the Sebenza, but I've never really quite got it, and I dare say, before you cast too much judgment on something, I know it's expensive, really good idea to get one in hand, because I got one in hand and you can sort of see where it all starts to not make sense. None of this makes sense. This whole knife hobby doesn't make sense, but you start to see where you might perhaps want to give it a try, so that's what I'm doing today. So, unboxing time, let's get into this FedEx box, which, incidentally, I ordered this about 6 days ago, over the Easter period, and here it is from Knife Centre to Australia today. So very, very good service and delivery from FedEx. It's got a medium box here. So get this open. Using the old Benchmade 940 to open up this one. Okay, Chris Reeve knives, very fancy looking box. It's receipt and paperwork and such, and edge testing of course. What is this? Guarantees and whatnot. Guarantee, sticker. This is the Bog Oak Small Sebenza in S35VN. Bog oak, if you didn't know, is a wood that they find in bogs. It's like a semi-fossilized wood, so about 1,000 or so years old, between a couple hundred to 1,000 years old generally. Before you would call it a fossil, it's bog oak, so it's dug up from bogs. Hopefully not the bog of eternal stench from the labyrinth.
The bog of eternal stench! Smell bad! Smell!
Alrighty, so what do you get? Well, this box is sort of foamy. With these more, more fancy ones, you get a little leather sheath pouch to keep it in. Probably won't be using that. I do intend on simply using this pocket knife. You get some grease and a disassembly tool. Chris Reeve encourages you to disassemble. You get this nice cleaning cloth. You can already feel this is a really light knife. And there it is. There it is. That is the Bog Oak Chris Reeve Sebenza. Let's have a look at it. It comes with this little lanyard on, which I think I will take off. I'm not the biggest fan, but we'll see. I'll give it a shot. So the Bog Oak is a really sort of dark, very hard wood. Looks a bit like ebony. Doesn't really have a particular smell to it. And what they do here with the wooden inlays, they use a gold detailing on the lanyard pin and also on the thumb stud. Now let's give it an open. Very nice. Smooth opening there. Very smooth indeed. That's quite nice indeed. How does it feel in hand? It's a smaller knife. I opted for the small mainly because I wanted the Bog Oak. I like the idea of having a really ancient wood. So it is going to be a bit of it's a 3-finger to sort of half 4-finger knife. 4-finger definitely with the little lanyard on, so maybe that'll stay, I'm not sure. Initial squeeze. Really squeezing down on it hard. Initial squeeze, nothing too bad. A little bit of a mark there, I reckon pinching between something. Perhaps we'll fix with small rotation. Squeeze again, this is how you sort of tell initial ergonomics anyway, in my opinion. Like a Benchmade 940, it's about as good, so it's not the most comfortable in the world, so it's certainly not a Mora Bushcraft Black. Like, I mean, that's just excellent because look, it's much bigger and it's rubberized coating and it's thicker, but for a pocket knife that I'm going to be using occasionally, it feels not too bad at all. Let's have a look at the real details of the blade. I'll use my, now the action shots are no longer needed, I'll pop this GoPro down, probably put it on the box there. So, what you've got is a sort of satin finished, but a bit shinier than the one I was borrowing. So my friend Ben's was a bit more bead blasted, so it was a bit less shiny, less likely to show up the fingerprints. So that one is sort of, I think, the shiny one that they use for these. Then you've got some polished titanium here, here and here, but then the lock bar and the clip they leave a sort of rough sandblasted titanium. So it's a bit of a colour differentiation, which in the pictures looked really obvious to me, but in holding it, it doesn't look too bad. They've sort of polished it down to the actual working parts of the lock, and I'm not sure why they would do that. If you do know why, please let me know, because it is an interesting thing for them to choose to do. Yeah, sharpness feels very, very sharp indeed. Let's get some paper, some notes for my steel testing videos, perhaps. Some paper. No real hang-up spots. So I can tell it's probably about an 80 to 85% good edge. Feels about as well as I can do on a Tormek. So not sort of your crazy KME edge, but very, very sharp, very sort of sticky sharp is what I'm feeling there. So very, very nice indeed. I'll take some up-close photos of the handle, and I'll probably show them now, as well as sort of a montage of other sort of photos of the knife in general. It's a very lightweight little knife. Let's have a look at it. I'll do some comparisons. So that's the small Sebenza Bog Oak. That's a Benchmade 940 that I just used to open the package. So it's about almost an inch less than the Benchmade. So Benchmade's got that sort of 3.25-ish blade. This has got about the 3-inch blade, and the handle's just a little bit shorter than the Benchmade as well. So pivot to pivot, you can sort of see there's a little bit less on the Sebenza from each side. Of course, if you want, you can carry it in this little leather case, which is a very nice little leather case, but frankly I don't think that'll be happening. I just don't really like this sort of stuff as much. It feels like carrying it in the pocket, and you have to take this out and then take the knife out. Just not quite for me, but it's a really great thing for them to include if you are using this more as a collector piece. But these knives are apparently the best, they always say the finest production knife going and all that sort of business, so I figure I'm going to use it, aren't I? Like, it's not going to be a piece of pocket jewellery, well, it is to an extent, but it's certainly going to be a piece of pocket jewellery that I take out and use. How much did this cost? This was $510 US. So that's the most I've ever spent on a knife, and if you follow my eBay or follow my channel, you probably noticed there's a few knives that have gone from my rotation just to pay for this and a couple of other really high-end knives that I've been looking at getting. I'm at a stage in my collection where I'm approaching a point where I'm not going to be able to have a lot of spare money for just this pursuit or this hobby. So a lot of my stuff's going to be done from buying and selling things I already have, and from just like the ad revenue from the YouTube channel, which is about $70 a month, sometimes up to $100 a month. So a bit of that will be spending on the new knives, and also stuff that people send me for review, which has been happening well, which I really, really appreciate. And with regard to that, I'm happy to do it. It's just, you must understand, I freak out a little bit about the postage. So sometimes when people offer me something, I need to be talked into a little bit, because I need to know that you're okay with all the possible risks involved. Just in terms of our postal service, registered post, express post, all that sort of stuff. It's good, but I am a bit scared of it still. I'm sure as it happens more, I'll get better at it. But anyway, just as an aside. Anyway, initial impressions of this knife is that it's very, very nice. I'll just weigh it, sorry. So this is a 79 gram knife, so that's about the same as a Spyderco Delica. Very, very light, very, very nice knife. Just in terms of the specs of it, it's obviously a frame lock flipper. It's got S35 VN steel with a hollow ground. This is the drop point blade, or the clip point blade, I guess you could call it. bronzer goldy anodized thumb studs, bog oak wood, titanium liner lock without an insert, just pure titanium, no sign of stick, very, very finely tuned. It's on two big brass washers that have the Chris Reeve oil inside them. I will take this knife apart and have a look at it at some point, but for now I'm just going to carry, use and enjoy it. At any rate, overall impression, first impression is quite good. It's if you didn't know how much this was and you just were holding it in your hand, I think you would still say, geez, that's a pretty nice feeling knife. Well, that seems like a pretty nice knife. So the litmus test will be on people who I don't know. Say, hey, what do you think of this? And see if they say, oh, that feels good, or see if they say, yeah. I think, to be honest, something like this is probably more likely to impress the common man or the the average non-knife person, because it's faster and it's springy and it looks cool and it's it's green and all that sort of thing. Whereas this is kind of your more, I don't know, a bit more, is it subdued? I'm not sure. I think you need to be a bit more of a knife guy to appreciate this, perhaps. Don't know. One thing I'm going to really try and avoid while dealing with the Sebenza in all counts is wankery. I'm going to be completely upfront and open about this knife. I know I've spent a lot of money on it, but it certainly doesn't matter. In fact, I'm harder on the stuff that I spend more money on. And if I ever get to a point where I don't think it was worth anywhere near the money, I'll definitely let you know. Because really, I'd hate for someone to go and buy something on my recommendation, me saying it was amazing when it wasn't actually amazing. Right now, if it was really, really good, certainly not going to jump to saying it's amazing, but I quite like the slow deployment. Yeah, fast deployment's nice, but this one here, you can still flick it. It's definitely flickable. It's just, I think the main aim, I think Chris Reeve doesn't prefer this, I think he prefers this, and it feels nice in either. The wood inlays I think look really nice. They feel just fine in the hands. You don't really notice them. The clip in this one is really, really good in hand. It just fits right in the fat of your palm there. Really, really nice. The rounded spine, the very sort of mild but definitely present jimping, does really, really good there. Yeah, overall, really like the details. Really like pretty much most of it at this stage. I'm sure I'll get used to this. This is probably the only thing that's throwing me a little bit. I probably would have just said to him, you know what, just do the same with the lock bar and the clip. But anyway, it's just something. You see around the edges, it's still got that sort of darker grey finish. It's just on the faces here that it's more polished. Interesting stuff. Let's see the lock up there for your thing. About halfway there. Very, very good. Anyway, I'll be putting some nice detail shots of it up, as we go right now, sort of thing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little reveal of the Bog Oak Chris Reeve Small Sebenza 21. This is the 21. The 25, or the Inkosi. The Inkosi is the one with a bit of extra, this one's got this just for the thumb stud. The Inkosi has a bit more extra hand shaping, which I never liked. So I went simple and got this one here. Anyway, I will most certainly keep you posted with this. I'm not saying to go out and buy a Sebenza yet. I think they are very, very expensive to buy unless you really, really want one. I really, really wanted one after handling a friend's, and so that's why it's here. However, I'll definitely be keeping you updated with more thoughts and feelings and emotions as we go on. Alright guys, I'll see you later.